Welcome to another Buzz and Practice video. In this video, we're going to be talking about assessment templates. Assessment templates allow a course author to integrate assessment questions into rich HTML content and decide where the questions should appear. By allowing the author this ability, they can more easily create the desired flow for their course content while still taking advantage of the Buzz assessment tools and analytics. Let's jump right in and look at two different examples. Right now I'm logged in as a student, so I'm going to look at these activities from the perspective of a student. The first one I'm going to look at is Gettysburg Address memorization. Now this is using an assessment template. On the back end, this is truly an assessment activity. You'll note a couple of differences between a traditional assessment activity and what I've done with this assessment template. First off, this assessment launched automatically, or as soon as I navigated to it, it's displaying to me the contents of that assessment. Well, traditionally, without enabling the auto start, you would see a prompt screen with some descriptions, and then you would have to press the start button. But I wanted this to feel more natural. I wanted it to feel as if it's actually part of the student's curriculum, and not so much as an assessment that they need to be worried about or concerned about. And so I wanted it to feel a little bit more natural, so I enabled the auto start feature for this particular assessment. Now you can enable that for anything, but it works really well with assessment templates because it makes the content sort of just flow. And it makes it feel a lot more natural rather than having to press a start button to start taking an assessment. So in this particular case, my students were expected to have memorized the Gettysburg Address in advance, and now they come to take the assessment, and I'm going to quiz them on a few different words placed throughout the assessment, and I wanted to see if they're able to correctly identify the missing words. Now there's a couple of other things that I'm doing different here that I only can do through the power of the assessment templates. And you can see that I have several different questions through here. So I have this one question blank right here, which is a fill in the blank, and then I have this multiple choice drop down, another multiple choice drop down, and then you scroll down, we have another fill in the blank, another multiple choice drop down, another fill in the blank. But all of these questions are placed specifically where I want them to appear. And I wanted this to feel like they're actually writing on the Gettysburg Address. And so I researched the Gettysburg Address. I sort of figured out what kind of font it was written in. It was this type of a cursive that wasn't necessarily a real clean cursive, definitely a lot more natural, and so I picked that type of a font for my text. Because of the age of the document, I put it onto this sort of a parchment paper, and I knew about the width of the document, and so I sort of wanted it to match all of that. And so I really wanted it to feel like they're actually taking this assessment, but on the document itself. And you can see at the bottom, I sort of mimicked how it was signed, how the date was written on it. You can see that I've actually embedded an image of Abraham Lincoln's signature, which existed on the original document as well as the date placed down there at the bottom. And so looking at this particular activity, it doesn't really feel like it's an assessment that I need to be worried about, but it's sort of just quizzing my knowledge and my abilities to be able to do this assignment. So let me go through here and let me answer a few different questions. So let's say 4 and we know the answer is 7, but I'm going to say a different answer. I'm going to say 6. 4 6 years ago, our fathers brought forth, and so on. Now I'm going to come down here. So it says, now we are engaged in a great, and the correct answer for this is Civil War. So I'm going to go ahead and select that answer. Then over here it says, the brave men. The correct answer is living and dead, not dead and living. And then down here, we can see that we hear highly, and the answer is resolve. And then here underneath this multiple choice question, so shall have a new birth of, and the correct choice, let's see, do you know it? I'll give you a few seconds to say what you think the answer is. And so the sentence is, we resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of, and the correct answer is freedom. And then down here, I have one more fill in the blank, and the correct answer is earth. So I've answered most of this correct. I did intentionally miss that first one. And I'm going to go ahead and press submit. So you still have your assessment features saying confirming that you want to submit. So if I didn't answer a question, it would say, hey, you're missing this question. You need to go back and answer that question. I'm going to go ahead and press submit. So we can see that it's grading my assignment. We can see that I got a red X on the 6, but I got green check marks on every other one. And so my total assessment score is 83.33%. Now this particular one, I can retake it. So I could say, hey, you know what, I want to retake this because I really want to master this. And I'm going to go and answer 7 correctly this time. And I'll answer all the other questions correctly as well. And so this follows the same assessment rules that you have set up. So whether or not you allow for retakes, or if you allow only for 2 attempts, or only 1 attempt, it will follow any settings and rules you've set for this activity. So I'm going to go ahead and press submit on this one, and we can see that I got 100% this time on it. In this particular case for this assessment template, the reason why I was using it is because I really wanted to stylize it. I really wanted to feel on brand with what they actually are doing. And what they're actually doing is they're filling out empty parts of the Gettysburg Address and written by Abraham Lincoln. And so I wanted it to very much look like and feel like they're filling out that document so that it feels a little bit more natural to them, but also it provides them maybe a little bit of a sense of the ability to be able to fill it out. So that is one good way of being able to use assessment templates to sort of give it a style that you want that does not look traditionally like an assessment. And this next one is going to feel a lot more like a textbook. This one is called study cells. Here in study cells, we can see that it doesn't feel like it's an assessment at the beginning. You just see text, you just see content, and you're going to see images. I mean, we have this introduction, and then we have this teaching about light microscopes and some images with captions for light microscopes. And then we see that there's this check for understanding section here. In this particular check for understanding, we're asking a question that's very relevant to this particular section. In other words, the answer is found in this section that was immediately before it. This is truly a check for understanding. We could say the correct answer is, and this isn't correct, I don't think, but I'm going to say it's that. And then I continue on. Then I just keep on going. I say, okay, now I'm going to read the next section about electrons or electron microscopes. I'm going to read through it. Okay, there's no check for understanding there. That's fine. Then I'm down to cell theory, learning about that. And we can see here we have another check for understanding section. And I can go ahead and answer this one. Cell is the correct answer for this particular question. And you can see that we're just doing these check for understanding as we go through the content, rather than just necessarily having an assessment after they read this entire chapter. I'm injecting these questions with the content so that we can do the check for understanding a lot quicker to see if they need to correct their understanding of that even sooner. And so we can see that it's very much just displaying the content in very much a textbook type format. You can see that it's completely styled differently. Like we have this whole card or this entire section that's blue, and then we have these little callouts which are white, where some callouts have questions embedded into them. Some callouts have like a career connection, something to tell them, oh, how does this apply if you wanted to pursue a career studying this or working in this field. And then down here at the bottom, we have another check for understanding section. This is a summary for the entire thing. These, in this case, they're essay questions. So we have an essay question here, another essay question here, and there, and there. These require the teacher to review the student's response and provide them a grade on it. But the nice thing that we have here is that these questions are spread out throughout this entire content. It's not just a lumped together all at the bottom, but I'm injecting these questions throughout the entire thing. But similarly, I can go ahead and press submit and submit my answers. We can see that it's saying that I did not answer questions 3 through 6. So if the assessment settings were set that you required answers to every single question, you wouldn't be even given the option to submit. You would be told that you need to answer these questions before you're allowed to submit. But I can go ahead and press submit. In this particular case, I won't be able to see if I got it correct or if I got it incorrect until the teacher has graded the assessment. But it provides me still with the feedback. It still allows me to review what my questions were. And then once this teacher has responded to those questions, if it's not just all automatically graded, Then I'll see the feedback immediately from the individual questions. I would see what the response should have been and maybe any feedback for the question that's saying how I could have gotten this question better or how I could have gotten it correct. So that is another example of using assessment templates. It doesn't feel like you're taking an assessment, but the value is that you can inject those questions anywhere you want to make the content flow a lot better, but also to do these assessing throughout the content or throughout the teaching. And since we're still using the assessment engine, you will still have all of those roll-up analytics for each individual question, so you can evaluate how effective the questions are working against the students. Now that I've shown you two working examples of assessment templates and how they can really improve and make more interactive your content, I want to deep dive a little bit more into the Gettysburg Address. Specifically, I'm going to show you how you can take the example files that I'm providing, put them into a brand new assessment, and so that you can see it working in your own class. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle over to a teacher's perspective. So here I am looking at the particular course that this student just took these two assessments in, the Gettysburg Address memorization and the study cells. Now each one of these are using various resources. Let me give you an example of what are some of the resources that are being used. So for the Gettysburg Address, we have the resource of the thumbnail for Abraham Lincoln. We also have a couple of other resources. For example, this parchment paper or this antique looking paper is actually an image that's being repeated over and over and over again to cover this square. There's a little image that we're using to get this effect. Additionally, there is one more resource that we are using. This resource is Abraham Lincoln's signature, which is a transparent image that I've placed on top of this document. So what I'm going to do is go over into a brand new course that has nothing in it. And the first thing I'm going to do is, assuming that I've already downloaded the zip package, the example files included with the Buzz and Practice article, I'm going to go and look at my desktop. And that's where I have that file downloaded. So let me go ahead and look at there. So we can see we have a Gettysburg Address zip folder. I'm going to go ahead and unarchive it or unzip it. And we can see that it's there. Let me go and open this up, and we're going to see that there are several resources here. Specifically, there's that Abraham Lincoln SVG, which is that signature. And then we have Gettysburg Questions. So these are the actual questions that I'm using within the assessment itself, and I'm providing so that you can copy and paste the questions into your assessment. There's the HTML file that will be used as the assessment template. The paper.jpg, this is that background image that I was talking about to make it look like the antique paper, the parchment paper, as well as the thumbnail.png for Abraham Lincoln. So this is the activity thumbnail. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select every one of these except for the questions, and I'm going to drag them over into my resources. Now the reason why I'm putting them in my resources is so that I can use them or I can refer to them in my assessment template. So I'm going to go ahead and drag those all over. You can see that those resources all got uploaded. Similarly, I could have clicked the upload button and select those files, but this is a lot easier. The next thing I'm going to do is open up the Gettysburg Questions. Now this is an RTF file. All this is doing is just going to display for us what are the different questions as if you were editing this within Buzz. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of that, and I'm going to copy that. And over here, I'm going to go ahead and let me make my screen bigger. And I'm going to go and select Add an Assessment. And there's a couple of different things I'm going to do here. I'm going to do Gettysburg Address, Memorization, and I'm going to go and add an image. I actually didn't need to upload that thumbnail image because I'm going to have to select it from here. So let me go ahead and select that and upload that. All right, so that is uploaded now. I'm going to go over to Questions, and I'm going to go and toggle to Edit All Questions. And so that file that I selected and copied, I'm going to copy all of that, and I'm going to paste all of this into Edit All Questions. So you can see that each one of those questions came in. You can, please note that there's actually no question text for these questions. And the reason why is because all the question text that I'm doing is in the HTML file itself. Instead, what these are the answers, are all the placeholders for the answers. And so if we look at this very first one, we can see that it's a fill-in-the-blank question, and then I'm saying that the answer is 7, but I'm also allowing them to enter in the number 7 as well. And you can see that I have these different options. All right, so look, that question is done. All of these questions are actually done. I don't need to change anything. We can see that this is a multiple choice question, that the thing is being displayed as a drop-down menu. There's no label on it. And those are the 3 options, and I have Civil War selected. So you can confirm, you can see how each one of these questions are set up, but that's how they are. I have them each set up to not show the correct answer, and then some of them are fill-in-the-blank questions, and some of them are multiple choice questions. Note that on some of these, for example, on the last one where we write in the word Earth, or Earth is the correct answer, I did mark that as a case-insensitive question. Now the reason why I did that is because some people may treat Earth as a pronoun, and so they may want to capitalize the E. And I didn't want to deduct any points from my students if they happen to do a lowercase e on this particular one, or an uppercase E, either way. All right, so all my questions are set up. Now let me go over to settings. Now this is where there's a few important things to do. I want my questions to appear in the order that they are set in my questions list. So I do not want to randomize question order. I do not mind if the response order is mixed. So what that means is if I go to one of these multiple choice questions, that conflict may be the last choice presented to the person, or disagreement may be the last or the first, etc. So I don't mind if the response orders are randomized, but I do not want the question order to be randomized. All right, so I have set up all of that. I'm allowing them to take it a limited amount of times. Now I can change when I want them to be able to review the assessment, but I'm just going to leave everything to always. And then underneath advanced assessment options, this is where you have your assessment template option. So if you go to advanced assessment options, you go down to assessment template, you can see that I clicked in it and it's telling me what HTML or HTML resources do I have in my course. Well, right here I have Gettysburg Address. If I happen to not have already uploaded this to resources, I could select the upload resource button, select the HTML file, and upload it. But in this case, it already exists, so I'm just going to go and select that assessment template, and I'm going to go ahead and press save for this activity. Now let's just make sure that it works. I'm going to jump over. Oh, so you know there was a different setting I did not enable. So I have to press the start button right now. I want to change that setting to automatically start the assessment. So if I come back to activity settings and I go to advanced assessment options, there is the start assessment automatically option. So I'm going to go ahead and select start assessment automatically, press save. And what that means is as soon as someone navigates to it, it will get started. And there we go. All the resources uploaded. The font is cursive. We see the Abraham Lincoln signature is there. Everything appears to be identical. So that's how you can install it. Now let's go ahead and look at what this HTML file is actually doing, because this is where the power is. Here I have my HTML file. Now just so you know, as you're looking at your own, I did shrink down the head because it's not really relevant for what I'm talking about right now. Here we see that it's just normal HTML code. We have a paragraph here at the top that says President Lincoln delivered this 272-word Gettysburg Address on November 19th, etc. You can see that that's this sentence right here. This sentence is this sentence right here. Then down here, I have this div, which is this entire block here. You can see that I styled it. I've added several styling to it. I'm referring to that paper JPEG as a background image, and I'm telling it to repeat. And then down here, I get the actual paragraphs of the Gettysburg Address. As you look through this, you'll see something that's happening throughout it. So for example, right here in this first paragraph, we see fourscore and then we have this new element here, or this tag here. and it is a colon question. This A tag, or this anchor tag, has this custom attribute called question. Now this is where assessment templates know where to inject those questions. Because Buzz is looking for these types of tags, it says, hey, place the first question, and the reason why it's the first is because this is the first one that happens to be on this HTML page. Place the first question right here. So if we look back at the rendered result, we have fourscore and blank. Well, the reason why this blank, or this fill in the blank, was placed here is because in the HTML code, we have this anchor tag, or this a colon question tag, placed right there. And so Buzz will automatically replace whichever first question there is in the questions in this assessment. It will replace that right there. Let me actually show you what that means. So if I went and changed that question completely, and this is going to, I haven't tested this, so this is, I know it's going to be goofy, but let's say I went and added a new question to this assessment, and let me move it to that very first order. Okay, so this is, I know this is going to turn out goofy, but I'm just going to do it just to show you how this works. So I'm going to make this an essay question. Here, an essay question. Okay, so let me go ahead and press save. So we can see, oh, so because it says fourscore and display the first question, we're seeing fourscore, and then here is the first question. It doesn't fit, it's not the way it's supposed to be, but this is just, I just want to show you that this is the way it's working. It's grabbing that very first question and is injecting it in the first placeholder. So let me go ahead and delete that so we can get back to it. So I'm going to go ahead and just trash that and press save, and hopefully everything works as expected. Yep, everything works as expected. All right, great. So you can see that we do this question tag in various different places. So we have one here in this paragraph, we have another one in this paragraph, another one in this paragraph, and then we have this one right here that we hear highly, and then we have that one there, and then under God shall have a new birth of, there's another one, and shall not perish from the, and here's the other one. And then after this, the paragraphs, after the Gettysburg Address, we are putting in that image of Abraham Lincoln's signature, and then we have another paragraph, which is the date that the thing was signed. If you looked at the Gettysburg Address, you would see that this actually is written underneath the Gettysburg Address on the left side. And so that's the reason why it's placed there. So that is a assessment template. You can see that it's HTML content with your styling, with your placement of content, and then you inject your questions wherever you want them to appear. In this particular case, I'm using mostly multiple choice and fill in the blank questions, but they can be any type of Buzz supported question, and you can place them exactly where you want them to appear to the end user. And ultimately, providing them with a really authentic and unique way to assess them of their knowledge and their understanding of whatever content they may be studying.